Brett Perigo, tonight's second place finisher. Plenty of fans here, Brett, and a solid second place finish.
Yeah, I got to shout out the Turn 2 Terror Boys over there. They're all a bunch of good guys to hang out with, talk to. I really like them.
How are you doing tonight, man?
Hey, I'm talking here. You know who you're talking to? Macho Man! On my way to Monday Night Raw.
It is Monday, March 31st, 2025. I am Jimmy here with Jay-Z. We are the Turn 2 Terribles. Chris is here. He's trying to get his mic issues figured out right now, so he'll be popping in once he gets that figured out. Glitching like hell, boys, it says. I wonder why. Everything says it's good on our end, but we'll take a look. Thank you, Matthew, for giving us a notice on that. But we see rest of you guys in the chat. Santos, Caden, Randy, Steph, Daniel. What's going on? Brandon, Mandy. How's it going? Thank you guys for tuning in every week. You guys are awesome. We appreciate it. We wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for you guys. We got a lot to talk about this week. We had 3 races to talk about here locally, and then we have some national stuff to talk about. And we'll take a look at. Okay, it's normal now. Thank you. All right, everybody's stream is good. It seems like it was glitching at first. Looks like it's good. Jay-Z, man, how are you doing?
Man, I'm good. It was a great weekend. Pretty good weather for the most part. Can't really complain about it at all. And man, a lot of positives from the weekend. So I can't
Yeah.
wait to dig in.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think there was much negative to talk about. All positive vibes here this week. So let's once Chris does get here, we'll bring him in, but he's in our chat right now. He's trying to figure out his mic issues. We couldn't get it figured out for a while, so he's restarting his computer and stuff. So let's get right into it. So we'll start with the cancellations this week. Friday, Williams Grove. Now, it was funny because I put out the weather report about an hour, within the hour of me posting that, the radar got considerably worse. So I really thought we were going to get Friday, and it looked like by 4 o'clock it was going to be gone most of Thursday, Friday when you're looking at it, and then Friday afternoon it just kind of lingered enough that Williams Grove had to cancel pretty late. You know, I don't really blame them. They at least tried. The weather was warm. The rain just hung around a little too long. and ended up washing them out on Friday. And then Saturday was a weird situation for the World of Outlaws at 81 Speedway. They got their heat races in, but the wind picked up really bad. The wind was pretty bad to start. I saw Giovanni Selzi's tweet. Um, just it was strong to begin with. There was talk about maybe, people were thinking maybe they would cancel early on. They got the heat races in. There's some pretty bad wrecks in the heat races. Now, I don't know if it was directly related to the wind, but I bet you it didn't help. Um, and then they end up having to cancel and postpone the rest of the event. They have a B main and a feature to run, so I don't know if they're going to make it back there or what, but they'll announce plans for that soon. JZ, what were your thoughts on these cancellations?
I mean, I honestly, I don't really have a lot of thoughts on it. I think it was the right things. It sucked. Friday was, one of those where, all the internet weather forecasters got this one wrong. They couldn't say you should have canceled Monday for this one. So it's
Right.
part of the deal. There was the chance, and then it wasn't. Then it was better. Then it was worse, and it is what it is. Sucks for Williams Grove for sure. And the Outlaws on Saturday, I was at the racetrack, heard about this. Windy. What do you do, right?
Yeah.
It's turns out these wing sprint cars don't do well in the wind, and it's not safe for could be unsafe for fans even and things like that. So they gave it a shot. They did know that it was going to be windy, but they gave it the old college try. So what do you do?
Yeah. Yeah, I can't blame him for trying. It just didn't seem like it pulled out. So let's get into Saturday, which Saturday was absolutely gorgeous. A little taste of summer. 80 degrees, sunny, very warm. Everybody's in t-shirt and shorts. It felt like a little taste of summer here in March. We'll start with Lincoln Speedway, where you and Chris were at. I was at Port. We'll talk about that next. But Lincoln, Matt Campbell gets the win over Aaron Ballinger and Freddie Raymer, Troy Wagaman, and Brandon Raymer, the top five. Cam Smith was the hard charger, uh, 21st to 6th. Dylan Norris, Leonard Forsyth, and JJ Loss were your heat race winners. JZ, what were your takes from this race?
Man, this is a good one. We we talk a lot on this show, and all of our Central PA talks a lot about handicapping and the pros, the cons, who likes it, who doesn't, so on and so forth. And I got to be honest with you, if all the things are right, handicapping is fine. And this was phenomenal handicap race. Not just the feature, the heats. The heats to get to this point. You look at the top four, look where they started. 8th, 9th, 11th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 11th. They came together, you know, through the field. Now, Matt got there first, started 7th in front of those guys. If any one of those, Aaron, Freddie, Troy, get in front of Matt at any point in that feature, it may have been a different winner. It was that first fast car to the lead that was coming through there. And I'm not taking anything from, Timmy Gladfelder or Dylan or Logan or any of the guys started in front of them or even Preston, but like Matt was fast, Aaron was obviously fast, Freddie was fast, and Troy was fast. They came through the field together, but Matt got there first. It reminds me of days of old of that first best car to get to the lead is going to win this race. And that's what it felt like. Fast car, as we say, but Matt was on kill from lap one of the heat, was ripping in the heat and just kept that speed all night long. But I'll say this: the last 5 laps of that race, Aaron Bollinger might have been the fastest car in the field. And all things equal, they were both really fast. It was a heavy racetrack still. There was a lot of racetrack left, and it was clean air for those last few laps. But Aaron didn't let him get away. Like the Matt got away a couple restarts before with some other people behind him. Um, but just overall, great racing, great sliders in 3 and 4 through the field. I was in 3 and 4 most of the feature there. Um, Shout out Fred Putney. He was concerned about the wind when I first got there, and the wind died down. I think at the right time, it made the track stayed together really well. They didn't touch it, and this was a great race. The greatest part about this whole night, they started all 27 cars.
Yes.
They skipped the B main. They got done with it, put a 8 minute clock on the thing, and said, "Look, we're going." And the feature was on the racetrack when the sun was still up
Yeah.
at a six
I,
o'clock start.
I noticed that I was walking out of the infield of Port after the limited late model feature, and I'm like, Lincoln's starting their feature already. They started 2 hours later. So and then I saw that they started all 27 cars. I got to give them a round of applause because I think that should be done more. If you're in that mid 20 range, I understand, but there's no reason to why, especially on a weekly show where you're going against Port. Port had 33 cars. Show that little bit of appreciation for the other teams that did come out, to try to get a race in. You know what I mean? And I think that's the way it can work with two tracks in the area when you have that many cars is to when you have that opportunity, start them all because guys want to get laps, especially this early in the season. But you guys want to race regardless. But I thought that was a great move. I really got to applaud them on that.
Yeah, it was great, and kind of through the whole evening, you with the wingless sportsman, you kept it moving, and like would not mess around, and it was great. It was great to got all the racing in, and we did it in an efficient manner. They were aggressive with that, and it was awesome. I know we're not going to have that all year. I understand that it's part of the deal as we get to 7 and 7:30 starts
Mhm.
and or 7 o'clock starts. Lincoln does 7 o'clock, but maybe a second, third division. We have more red flags. These things happen. They're going to have some event type stuff with an intermission, but nothing but positivity out of this event. This race, this was a great race. Man, Matt Campbell was fast. I got to tell you what, it just visibly pushing that race car for all it's worth.
That
They kind of talked to him after the race a little. They put a new motor in it, a little bit more of a stronger motor than they had been running before, and it paid off. He had all the speed he needed, and Matt said I was using almost all of it all night. So can't complain about that. I know some guys would like it to be a little slower and slick at times, depending, on your situation, your program, but
you're gonna
I'll
have
take
plenty
this
of that
down.
later in the
I'll take
year.
this wasn't a bad race when I say that. A lot of times the hammer down heavy, narrow. This wasn't narrow by any means. It was fast, but guys still pass cars as you can see.
Yeah.
So
Cam Smith, 21st to 6th. I mean, he had to be pretty fast to do that. I mean, not just that. Doesn't look like it's. I don't know how much attrition there was because I didn't see any highlight. I saw some highlights, but
yeah, he struggled a little bit in the heat, just didn't pass enough cars to get to get, where he got, and they got it right for the feature. So they were doing something right for sure. So looking forward to see what Cam has the rest of the season. I think they start a little bit slow, but they're building some momentum there, and I know Cam can drive that race car. So just a good night all around
a couple of
for the
other good
410s.
nights for some other drivers here. Chad Trout with the top 10. Dylan Norris had a solid run. Logan Rumsey ninth. In a 410 start here at Lincoln. That's pretty impressive. Tyler Ross with the top 10. Jordan Gibler 17th to 12th. Billy Dietrich 13th. So there was some solid runs. Glenn Stires was an interesting entry. Um,
Yeah,
just
talk
a
about like
random
okay,
as hell.
totally random. And that guy, I guess from all things I've gathered, he's living his best life and doing whatever the hell he wants, where he wants, and when he wants. So good for Glenn Stires. I think he came down and he got better throughout the night. I think at the beginning it was a little like I'm feeling this out, learning. Car looked a little uncomfortable, but as the night went on, he got better and better. And it was cool to have him down here in PA.
Sure. And I will say, and we're going to talk about the points a little bit later, but that top four right there is exactly who we all expected to be fighting for this track championship this year. And they have not disappointed so far. I think that that top four is going to be, you're going to see that top four different orders throughout the whole season. Let's go to Port Royal, uh, where Ryan Smith in the 69K in Victory Lane. Who would have thought? Oh, before we get to this, let me get to some. There was quite a few user comments or listener comments on Lincoln. Um, Billy Dietrich says, "Windy is bad in K." Steph says, "Creedon was so excited for the Campbell win. We were happy for him." Matthew says, "Campbell was a rocket." Santos here saying, "Tuning in from YouTube tonight. Facebook is very glitchy. I couldn't get past the intro, but nevertheless, good evening, boys. If anybody is having issues, we do have this live streaming on YouTube and Twitch. So if Facebook isn't working for some reason, feel free to jump over there." Um, Randy says, "Good weekend for Tyler Ross. Yeah, top 10, 16th, 10th. Steve Carr, X and flexing." Um, Steph was saying that the wind was crazy there at first. Brandon Zirk said, "Fred is a great track guy. You guys took, or I think Chris took it quiet track pick, or was it? I don't know. One of you two took it, and
Yeah.
surface looked fantastic. Randy Oberlander, checker flag flew for the Sportsman at 8:03. That is an efficient show, that's for sure. Doug says great racing. Congrats on Steve Warbler. We'll talk about that. Great night at Lincoln. Yeah, so let's get this port. And I was here for this one. Ryan Smith. Caden says Port Royal didn't really have any passing. I would disagree. Ryan Smith went from sixth to first here. Chase Deeds 10th to second. Ryan Smith just dominated this race once he got out front. It was kind of the same thing as you were talking about. Like once the best fast car got out front, he was going to win. That was Ryan Smith in this case, and he was. I thought he was going to get held up by lap traffic at one point. This went green the checkered, by the way. No cautions, green the checkered all the way through. Just dominant. I mean, the track was slick. It was classic Port Royal from a couple years ago, where it was just slick from bottom to top. The top was fast if you could make it work, but you could make the bottom and the middle work. There was a lot of lanes to run. There was a lot of battles throughout the field. It was tough to pass, but I wouldn't say that there was no passing. It was still a racy track. Chase Dietz was your hard charger and a heat race winner. He went from 10th to 2nd. And Justin Whittle went from 8th to 3rd. Danny Dietrich gets a 4th place from 9th place. And Lucas Wolf, who was on the pole, gets a top 5. Your heat race winners were Chase Dietz, Danny Dietrich, Logan Wagner, and Devin Adams. Logan Wagner, 6th place. Brock Zierfoss, 13th. Anthony Macri, 14th, having a hard time getting through traffic. He didn't really go anywhere. But there's some other guys. Blaine Heimbach went 20th to 12th. Gerard McIntyre, 17th to 10th. There's guys moving around, but some of the big names just really couldn't move around. Lance DeWeese won the B main, couldn't go anywhere. Jacob Allen went from the B main in, couldn't really go anywhere. So there were some guys that were able to make it work, but at the end of the day, it was Ryan Smith in that 69K, and I don't know what else to say. I mean, he ran a smart race. He didn't really have to run the top very much, and he was able to get around lap cars. And while Chase Dietz and Justin Whittle, who had a really big battle there for a while, kind of I don't want to say let Ryan Smith get away, but they weren't helping their cause there. It took them a while to get around Steve Buckwalter and stuff. So and also one more driver to shout out here, Dylan Sisney was in the Indy Race Part 71. He looked good. He started 5th, still got a top 10 finish. Yeah, I don't know if you saw any of this. If you have any thoughts.
Yeah, I saw the highlights. I watched a couple of the heat races as I was wandering around at Lincoln, I think, or I don't. Yeah, I guess I was. I watched some of the heat races. Slow, slick. If you could run the top, you could run the top. If you could run the bottom, you could run the bottom. But it was technical. It was slow, but that makes Port Royal better all the time, every time. It is fun to watch them hammer down occasionally, but it kind of gets old when you see that, and you're like, okay, I'm over it. The racing happens when the track slows down, and
Yeah.
this looked like a good racing track. But listen, when you have good cars up front, they move through the field here, but these are the best cars for the most part at any given night, right? Some guys didn't have a great night, but Ryan Smith, Chase Dietz, Justin Whittle, Danny Dietrich, Lucas Wolf, Logan Wagner, Dylan Sisney, Jeff, like, what else could you want, right? And those guys got to battle it out. You got the lap traffic. I saw what I saw, and I liked what I saw, right? But I'm going to tell you this, and everybody knows it. Everyone's thinking it. Everyone's saying it. I'm not going to be the first or the last, but Ryan Smith, like, listen, I've seen this car not win. I've seen drivers in it and not win races. This guy jumps in it, race number 2 last year in the fall at BAPS, sets a track record, gets a top 10. First race of the season at this year, right? First race, second race, first race.
Second.
Was he it?
He
Where
was
did he
at the
finish in the
one.
first?
Mm,
Do you remember? I don't even know.
I'm
But
not
gets a
sure.
win, right? And
Yeah.
like, kind of dominating fashion, and everyone was equal playing field. Everybody had the same chance, and boom, this car is a rocket ship, right? So I got to be honest, and maybe I'll talk about this later. Let's keep moving, and I have thoughts on what I'm already seeing in Central PA. We'll get to it after BAPS here. Let's get into that one when it's time. But yeah, just good for that team for sure. Oh,
Yeah,
motor
that's
issues the
right.
first
Yeah, they
race.
had
That's
motor
right.
issues in the first race. I will say this, kind of like what we were talking about with the top 4 at Lincoln. Chase Dietz, Justin Whittle, Logan Wagner, those are the guys that we've really kind of talked about. Brock Zerfoss, he was last week at Port, had a pretty good run, but those are the guys, me watching Chase Dietz and Justin Whittle to me was kind of foreshadowing on how I feel like a lot of these races are gonna play out. Um, fan comments here. Trying to go back here. Lucas Wolf with the top 5. Love to see it. Absolutely. He started on the pole. He looked strong. He was in that battle with Chase Dietz and Whittle for a little bit as well, as they were coming through the pack, and Danny Dietrich as well. Chase Dietz also had an amazing weekend. We're going to talk about that here in a second. 69K a rocket, says Brandon Zirk. Santos says, shout out to Port Royal for not making the same mistake as they did Tusky 50 weekend. Windy, gusty at 4 with the sun beating down on it, and they continue to put water in and made it a great race. And I got it. Yeah, I agree. It was windy. It wasn't so windy inside the track. It was very windy more outside the track. I think the grandstands helped knock a lot of it down, but it was still windy. Don't get me wrong. Like, it was still windy on the track. Just not as severe as it felt outside the track, in my opinion. And the heat races were racy. It got slicked off pretty quick, but they kept up with it. They kept putting water down in between each feature. Right before the B main, they had a little bit of like an intermission to kind of they just put water on and let it sit, and it really helped for sure. And I thought the track was great. Shout out to them for keeping up with it. Lucas Lance had no drive coming out of turns. I think he missed a setup, and I agree. He looked really good in the B main. He went from 6th to 1st in like a lap and a half in the B main. He looked strong as hell, and then in the feature just couldn't go anywhere. Yeah, everybody's saying, "Oh, he broke for the last week meaning Ryan Smith broke in Heat 1." I think we got who is now a special guest. It seems like anymore. Chris Lynn.
Hey. Hello.
Are you, hello? You got it.
Hello?
Yeah, we hear you. We hear you.
Hey.
Hey.
We finally found something that works
How you
around
do-
here. Holy shit.
Good to see you, buddy.
Well, you can't see me, but you can hear me.
Well, yeah, glad to hear from you. Macri and Deweese outside the top 10 at Port is unreal. I think that also goes to show how strong the rest of the competition is. And we'll talk about the late model feature in a minute. Let's go to BAPS. Danny Dietrich getting the win over Brock Zierfoss and Chase Dietz. I think I have that wrong. Guessing.
Correct. That is wrong. It's Danny, Chase, Brock,
No, it's Danny
Freddie,
Brock
Kyle.
Chase.
No, Danny, Brock, Chase, but I think Brock or Danny either started 3rd. I think Brock started 3rd. But this was the right rundown. I just have 2 5th-place starters here. Anyway, Danny wins over Brock Zierfoss, Chase Dietz, Freddie Raymer, and Kyle Moody, who started on the pole. Your heat race winners were Danny, Kyle Moody, and Jeff Halligan, who had a little bit of a moment. We'll talk about him here in a minute. Preston Latimus, 23rd to 13th, was your hard charger. Anthony Macri, 6th. Dylan Norris, 7th. Tyler Ross, 8th. Cameron Smith, 9th. And Lucas Wolf, 2 top 10s for the weekend. Gets a 10th. Jay-Z, you were there. What'd you see from this one?
Man, I was thrilled with what Lincoln gave us, and this ended up being, all things considered, this ended up being phenomenal. And credit Danny Dietrich for making it good, because Chase was all planned out to just make this thing not great. So credit Danny for making this a race at the end, no matter how you feel about your favorite, not your favorite, doesn't matter. Turn this into a race to not traffic, and by the end of this, there was rubber on both ends of the racetrack. For the 358s, and at the end for both, but like, they had to go. Weather was coming. It did rain. They just kept things moving, same thing, and it was efficient out of like, hey, we want to get this in, and they pushed them off and said, let's go, we're going. And Danny still made this a good race, and so did Chase. Right, Chase got out front doing their thing, and Danny ran him down in lap traffic, made his move, and finished it off. This was very entertaining. The new BAPS, new surface in 3 and 4, and I think it was good early, and I think they have time to work on the racetrack. It makes 3 and 4 better than it ended up. But still, this was another great event. Shout out BAPS Motor Speedway, put on another good race.
Chris trying to do
Are you doing
a rim shot.
dishes? What are you doing?
Even Santos just said, "Chris, it's been a while. I miss hearing those drums."
Well, you're going to keep missing them because they're not here. Well, they are here, but they're not where I'm at. So they
Chris,
were
do you have any?
there. What?
You have any thoughts on this race?
On the BAPS race?
Yes.
No, props to BAPS for getting it in. I mean, I was sitting here 20 minutes away, and I was giving weather updates, and I'm glad they hurried it through. It's good for them and good for 358 guys and everyone to get that show in. And I mean, Danny and Chase keep trading jabs each week. It seems like so.
Yeah, it does. It does seem that way. It seems, that from the icebreaker when Chase ran Danny down in traffic, they've kind of been going back and forth. And for me, watching it at home, great job by Sprint Car Unlimited TV for great coverage of the event. Um, it was one lane, and that was my only disappointment from afar was that it was just one lane in 3 and 4. But these guys made it exciting. You couldn't miss that bottom, or you're going to get past. 1 and 2 was still very racy. You had sliders, you had guys running the top and everything. It made for an interesting feature for sure. It made for a good feature. Um, just kind of a little disappointed on how it turned out for 3-4. It was my first time looking at the track. Since they put in the new guardrail, I see they made some more upgrades in the infield with some picnic tables and everything like that. The pit backstretch sweeps look awesome. They just continue to keep putting more and more into the track. I love to see it. Feature wise, though, hey, I mean, Danny is when tracks get that slick, Danny's the best, one of the best in the area, and he's just found a way to find the grip and make all the moves. And it was a dogfight between Danny, Brock, and Freddie while Chase was out there getting around Kyle Moody. Kyle Moody ran a strong race until maybe about, what was it, like 10 or so to go. Kind of fell back behind these guys. One thing I do want to talk about is this Jeff Halligan wreck, because I don't know what that was.
Real
Yeah.
quick, before we get there, can we give the people what they want? Can we try to?
What's that? There it is. Good job. Good job. Good job.
All right. Yeah, that was sketchy. All right, Jeff Halligan. I didn't see it, so go ahead.
I didn't see this live either. I had to message, you guys and say, hey, like, what happened there? Like, what was going on? Because I didn't hear great things that people did see standing there, but I'm like, what happened? This didn't sound like it was good, very smart or calculated or the wise thing to do. Or am I being too gracious about that?
To me, he had a hell of a run coming out of 2. I'll give him that. And he was trying to take it, but I don't know where he was trying to. Personally, I don't know where he was trying to take it to. The Chase was there the whole time and just ran into the back of Chase. That was kind of a saving grace for Chase. I bring this up because Chase Dietz did do a 360, but was able to keep it going, and retain second at that point in time. If not, he would have not even been a factor in this. I don't think he would have been able to make it back through. Again, kind of different rules, different tracks here. But Chase Dietz was able to maintain his position. Jeff Halligan had a pretty beat up race car and was done for the evening, but I'm not sure what happened exactly. But from what way I looked at it, just looked like he was trying to take advantage of a run and was going to try to get to the inside of Chase. I don't know. Or maybe he just did not expect to catch Chase as quickly as he did into the corner and just kind of took him, almost took Beats out. He spun him around, but did more damage to himself. So luckily, Chase didn't end up with a wrecked race car over that.
So I was thinking about this a little bit more today, and I listened to Danny's interview, obviously in Victory Lane. I listened to Sprint Car Unlimited interview, and listen, this could be anybody, by the way, but I'm wondering how the interviews go if he doesn't win this race,
Yeah.
because gave credit to Brock and Freddie, the hard, close racing. But if he doesn't get to the lead and doesn't
If
win
he
this
finishes
race,
behind them, yeah.
if he doesn't win this race, is it a different interview
Yes,
on
I mean,
the way those
absolutely.
guys raced
If
each
he
other?
finishes 4th or 5th in that race, and I don't know if the interview goes the same way. Where maybe maybe he'll still give him credit on the clean racing, but I'm sure hey, just couldn't pass because there was rubber in 3 and 4 or something like that. I bet you it kind of goes down.
I don't know. Some of the moves, sliders, and stuff I saw, I don't think he'd have been as gracious to maybe the competitors around him
Mhm.
if he doesn't win this race. Chris,
and I think we saw that, and not to be negative, but we saw that the icebreaker. A lap car gets in his way, or in his opinion, and some other his fans' opinions way, and lap cars need to get the f out of the way. But when it goes the other way, it's like, oh, it's fine. They didn't do anything wrong. It's
well, I'll be fair though to him.
on lap cars.
He wasn't as hard on the lap cars as the fans
Sure,
were.
sure, but it's the same.
You're
The
right.
same principle applies. We've seen it from Danny before. He's very vocal, and when it goes his way, yeah, he's more often than not has had been more gracious when it's gone his way, and it makes sense. If I won, I'd be hell yeah, the best track I've ever been on, and the best car I've ever had in my life, right? So I get it, but we've also seen it, like you said, when it doesn't go his way. Do we get the same interview? I don't think so.
Again, it's all hypothetical. It's all hypothetical. It's all what ifs because it didn't matter because he won the race and there's no, did his job, right? Did his job and when it mattered. And man, it's not even quickly becoming, he is the BAPS master at this point. It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
And you'll get guys will get a win here or there, or, Brock and then, Kyle Reinhardt, and you'll get some guys get in to sneak in there and grab a win. But man, when it comes down to it, he's always in the mix at BAPS every single week. It feels every time they're there, doesn't matter. And he time's good enough, passes cars in the heat, gets up front. Um, Got it. You show up to BAPS, man. You got to know who to look for, and it's the 48.
Yeah, absolutely. Couple other good runs here. Logan Rumsey, another 15th, another
Well,
4-10 start for him. Go ahead.
I'm glad you said that real quick because I was going to mention that he was inside the top 10, had a throttle spring issue. He actually had to take his foot and bring the throttle back up from being stuck
Oh,
every
jeez.
to finish the race. He was inside the top 10 and passing cars, so he was in 18th and inside the top 10. I think ninth. I think it was talking to his dad, and it would hang unless he put his foot under it and brought the throttle back. So a little bit of a mechanical malfunction, or else he could have had an 18th to the top 10 run there.
He's been looking really strong this year so far.
Yep.
Doug Hatmaker, a decent run, 14th, 20th to 14th. Chris disconnected, but he's back. Linton Jeffrey, 10th in the 39. Cody Hartlob, his season debut didn't go as planned. Started 3rd, finished 20th. Do you have a mechanical issue, I think?
No, he got into it. Macri kind of stuffed him in
That's
the
right.
wall, and left rear got cut, and he had a flat tire. But he was running right there, inside the top 5, top 8, and they made some contact, and he had a tire go down.
Unfortunate for that, but he'll be back. He looked really strong. Yeah, and I gotta applaud BAPS for pushing through because I'm looking at the radar and I didn't even think they would make it through heat races, to be honest, the way the radar was looking, and just kind of held off enough. And um, they expedited the schedule. They skipped the intermission. They kept it going. Didn't even really do any track work, and just pushed right through. And I thought that was the absolute perfect move. And we saw that point proven because 358 feature with only a couple laps to go, they ended up having just enough rain for a couple seconds they had to just kind of do a bunch of pace laps, run it back in, and finish off the race. Let's get to some listener comments here. Santos says, shout out to Bass for expediting that show to get it in before the weather came, and it was right on their doorstep. Kyle Vaughn says, is it too early to say that Dietz and Dietrich is going to be the new version of Dietrich and Monteith? I think so.
Yes, that's way too early.
Oh, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how this is going to go, but this is sort of the topic I want to get into when we wrap up the sort of the weekend rundowns and it's kind of a state of where we're at here after the first few weeks.
Okay, we'll put a pin in that. We'll talk about that then later. Randy Kopp says, "Watch out for that Preston Latimus kid." Absolutely. I think a lot of people have high hopes. He has a lot of talent, and working with Kyle Reinhardt in that car. I mean, you saw him have a pretty good, decent run here, but he's going to have some ups and downs here. I mean, he had some. He started up front at Lincoln, right, and he kind of fell back.
Did.
So,
Yep.
but yeah,
I think I want to touch back real quick with Logan Rumsey. I broke up when I was going down. Same idea. Like, I'm impressed with where he's gone. We know how well he can drive a car, and to see him having these gains in the 410, he's someone to keep an eye on over this year and next for sure.
hmm I know they're going to make just limited 410 starts. They're still kind of bouncing back
Like
in
we know
between
how
the
hard he'll
58s
drive.
and 410s.
We've seen Jeremy and I know for sure we were there, and like we saw how hard he would drive that through to win the race, bouncing off the front stretch wall. I mean, they get that stuff figured out, get the bugs worked out. He's going to be one of those sneaky threats that we now talk about, the Matt Campbells and the Bollingers. I think it's that
Yeah,
same group.
I could definitely see that. Even Randy Kopp agrees. Preston is going to be good. Oh, just kind of following up his own comment. DD said in a Sprint Car Unlimited interview that he wasn't running his normal motor. Anyone know anything about this? Says Brandon Zerk. It's the first I'm hearing of it.
No, I just know they'd worked a lot in their motor program over the winter, and he's been thrilled with how it's been running so far. Post Volusia, they've been pretty happy. So I'm not sure what this weekend was. I mean, fourth and a win, good, bad, or indifferent. The results speak for themselves. So I'm not sure. 'Cause I know the whole motor program's new this year, right? He's
Right.
running those motors from out in India, Speedway motors, I want to say, or something. Uh, I don't quote me on that. I'm an idiot, but I know it's a new motor program. They really worked on it hard. So
RH1 Inc. says 6 wins in the last 11 at BAPS for DD is, I believe, is what we said. That's crazy stat. I mean, that just goes to show how dominant he has been there. The drums for Chris. I mean, hey, Santos says you're the real MVP, Chris.
Hey, we had to make it happen for the people.
Brad Weatherby wants your ugly mug on. So
well, it was there, but when I'm
there,
the voice and audio doesn't work, so now you're stuck with a black screen. Deal with it, Brad.
Brad Weatherby also says Chase is a badass. Absolutely. Want to keep that thing going after a 360, but then run as hard as he did.
Can I get on?
And he has not finished off the podium this year. That's insane. I mean, we have enough races now where at different tracks where he just hasn't finished off the podium. That's pretty wild.
So Brad's my buddy, and if he has something to say, he can walk over and tell me.
Wow.
Love you, Brad.
Brandon Zerk with the stats. Average finish last year at BAPS for Danny was 2.2. 5 wins of 10 races in 2024.
Hold on, let me check if that's good or not. Yeah, that's good. Okay.
Decent.
Santos says, I wonder who gets into the 39 once Linton goes back to Knoxville. We kind of have an idea.
I know that answer.
Can you say
we'll see.
Answer? We'll see.
I mean, it's still some in the future. So
yeah,
I don't have a crystal ball, but I've heard.
I heard it's Jimmy Barr.
No, it's not. Brad says he can't walk over to you, by the way, asshole.
I know that.
Hayden says, watch out for Doug Hamaker from switching to 358 to 410. He's a heck of a racer. Yeah, we've seen him do it in 358. He's starting to get, I mean, this is a good run here for him at BAPS. And yeah, we'll see what happens over the next couple months here with him getting more and more laps on the Bet 410.
I'm interested. I don't know how much Williams Grove stuff they're going to do. I got to look at the schedule, but it's mostly Port, obviously, and he's ran at Port, but not a ton of laps the last couple of years. So I think it'll take a little bit more time to get comfortable. But he's ran laps at BAPS, obviously, and stuff, and Williams Grove, and he's comfortable. So curious to Williams Grove and more BAPS racing if they can put it all together where he's comfortable and then continue to get laps at Port Royal. Obviously, a lot of potential there for sure.
So let's move on from BAPS here, and we will let's check out some of the other support divisions from these races here this week. Let's keep it with BAPS. 358s, Cody Fletcher getting the win in a kind of a wild feature. He had a really good battle with Seth Snoke, and then Seth just sent it with about a lap or two to go. He was going
flag.
for it, and sent it and kind of took himself out of contention. There was a little bit of rain, but Cody eventually leads this one from beginning to end. But he after Seth kind of got into the wall out of turn two. Dylan Norris came back and he had something to say right there on that last shootout there at the end. But Cody did a great job of you know holding his own there and making sure that they won. Um, yeah, starts first, finishes first. So Dylan Norris was second, Derek Locke was third, Wyatt Hinkle with a good run, fourth place, and Adam Carberry from 11th to 5th, the top five. He looked very fast. Thank you, Brandon. He did. He really did look very fast. You have any thoughts from this one?
This was for a race that had a lot of rubber on both ends. This was more entertaining than it probably should have been.
Mm-hmm.
Cody Fletcher did everything he was supposed to do, and Seth Schnoke gave him everything he had. Totally different ways of racing. Wing back, Seth Schnoke had the right front, 3 feet in the air for a 358, and was doing everything he possibly could to try to make this get this win. And Cody didn't bobble. Shout out Cody. He's a veteran. He's been around. He's done this. I was entertained. Like, what's going to happen the next corner? I was like, and then when they got that one to go, and Seth was right there, Seth was like, "Well, I'm either running second or I'm going for a win. And what am I going to do?" And he sent it that much too hard and backed it into the wall there. There just wasn't enough for him to lean on and he just drove right through what was there into the wall. So can't blame him at all. That you can will never tell you, you will never convince me he wasn't going after it. So good for him, but good for Cody as well. I can't be upset with Cody winning. This was awesome. Love seeing Cody in victory lane. We got to obviously interview him at Racing Extravaganza. Um, Beautiful race car. There were 3 generations of Fletchers in Victory Lane. Cody's dad, Cody's son, got to take a picture. He's the 3rd generation of Fletcher to win at BAPS Motor Speedway, also, from what I heard. So just super cool. It meant a lot to Cody. It was a neat victory lane, but great race. I love the 358s at BAPS. Please get them on the schedule more. Get them with the 410s. No offense to the other divisions, but 602 mods at BAPS as a support division for 410s is not doing it for me. No offense. Sorry. Give me the 358s.
Yeah, I agree. Chris, what do you think?
I mean, I agree with everything Jeremy just said, especially with the sport division. When you have the 410 shows or anywhere, not even just BAPS, there's sprint car fans are there. And if you're BAPS, I think your options are give sprint car fans sprint cars or highlight one of your main divisions. And
I think they do that.
I think they do pretty well. I don't know how often the 602s race there, but like,
But more BAPS main divisions are the limited late models and of course the wing sportsmen as well.
right. Future, I mean, good for Cody. Obviously, we had him, like Jeremy said, racing extravaganza, and just a good guy. And after some of the crashes he had last year that were not his fault, it's good to see him come out with a great run and get a win. And you love to see it. This is a big show, and I agree. I wish they were there more often.
Yep, no doubt.
Going to let's take this question from Kyle Vaughn real quick. If y'all can name the top 3 prospects in the 358s, who would they be? Rumsey and then who? Yeah, definitely Rumsey's probably at the top of that list, and he's kind of in between now with running more and more 410s.
Man,
It's tough.
cool. I and I just see what I see. I'm an observer. I think Aiden Hare, even with his limited experiences in this conversation, um, obviously I would have put Preston Laddips there, but he's moved up.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Rumsey, Aiden Hare, and I got to be honest with you, it's hard for me not to say Cody Fletcher. Like he doesn't have the win totals, but if I look at just 2025 so far, there's only been 2 races. He moved forward in the Lincoln race, wins this race. And again, no offense to anybody I'm not mentioning that's there, and I think there's a lot of good talent there, but
Mm-hmm.
I think I can't not say Cody Fletcher, Aiden Hare, and Logan Rumsey.
I think those are good. I think another person I would throw in there would be Jaden Wolf. I think he has a lot of potential if he can keep
For
things
sure.
going there. He's another one. Um, Someone who, if we want to go even further, Eli Tuckey. He went from 20th to 11th in this race. He was the hard
Eli's going to be
charger.
a good little race car driver.
He's going to be a pretty good race car driver. Yeah, I
I'm
agree.
a big fan of I like the Tucky family. Eli, as that race went on, got better and better, by the way. As that went on and he figured it out, he's a quick learner. And I've seen him do that. He has, I don't know, 6 races under his belt in a race car ever at this point. Um, but I'll tell you one other one, and it was Seth Snoke, and he got his first
Yeah,
career win 358 last fall. Ran second here tonight. There's still obviously some, he's a young guy. He's going to be a hard charger. He's going to get some wins. He could be in that conversation fringe of it, but a little more experience and laps. We'll see. But yeah, sorry to interrupt there, but yeah, I love that you brought up Eli. I don't know if he's in that. He's not there yet, but like
but I'm saying like that's what I was saying, like more like
he's
further down the
yeah,
line for
quick
sure.
learner. We'll see where he's at in August and September this year with some more races under his belt. And Tyler Rutherford, he's going
Yeah.
to win.
Yeah.
He's going to win a race this year, maybe more than one, depending on how much he does.
Mhm.
But he gets better and better and better.
Well, Chase
Yeah,
Cutshall is another one. That's a good one,
Yeah,
Santos.
Chase Control is the
Yeah.
other one, and then the only one that kind of going the other way that I wish would just solely go 410 would be the Derek Law, because we know how good he is at Williams Grove in 358. We know how good he is in 360. If he would go all in and the funding was there, I think that'd be really cool, because we know if you just know how good he is, and he's such a good guy to add to your all's list. Like that would be the other one that comes to my mind.
Like he's one. Dylan Norris.
Dylan Norris is another one.
That's Adam Carberry. Like some of these guys that are running 358s a lot, but like we know that they have at least some 410 experience. That they're kind of
and
in
we get
between.
and we get why they're doing their program. It would just be nice to see them dive all in and just kind of see what they can do.
And Wyatt Hinkle, he really impressed me yesterday. I know he's shown flashes of speed, but if he could get consistent, he's going to be at the top 5 of that division, I think, as
It's
well.
consistency. He gets start up front, pass cars, be up front. He can do that. And there's another one who hasn't raced yet, and they're a little bit behind in their program. They're waiting for some equipment. Is Tyler Ulrich? He will win a race at Lincoln this
Yeah,
year. He was so close last year, 3 or 4 times. He will probably win a race or two this year. He gets back in this, gets comfortable, gets going again. But what a competitive division! Like you could name all those people, but and that's the hard part about naming a top 3 in this division, because
and
every year there's flashes, but those same
there's
people
no
can
one.
get a win, and the next week they're 8th because they're behind
There's a lot of
Frank
parity.
Kerr, and they're behind Logan Rumsey, and they're behind Tyler Ulrich, and they're behind Ashley Capetta, and you just get like it's
And
just the way
Ashley,
that division is.
you mentioned Ashley Capetta, and that's another one that like I don't know that she
Tyler
wants
also
to,
agrees with
or
you, Chris. Yeah.
like I think Ashley Capetta would be one that I think, knowing what racing and 410 racing means to her and her history, it'd be great to see her running full time 410. I don't. It would be a different kind of feel for sure. It would be more like how Billy Dietrich came up and was kind of going like the Clinton counties and stuff. But that'd be huge. Like she has the talent. It's another one. It's like, what do you want out of your racing program? Is where it comes down to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Tyler Ashley is going to take a big step forward with her new crew chief this year.
For sure.
Steve Owings, right? You can't take
Yeah.
that. Brandon, you're 100% right. And we were thinking, I was thinking my like younger.
Yeah, same.
Not that Cody Fletcher's young, but yeah, I mean Steve Owings, right? New team. I don't know how much they're going to race. He said he's not chasing a championship this year. I think he mentioned that, and that maybe those days are over. So, but if he shows up, he's got to be up there
For sure. And I think I put him in the Derek Locke category. Like, are there prime years to be 410 drivers behind them? Probably. But could they still make it fun for us race fans? Oh, absolutely. In the right situation.
Well, and everybody better keep their game up because Dylan Norris could win 10 358 races this year.
Yeah.
Just by the way.
And
I would say he going back to last year and the beginning of this year, he looks like the fastest 358 night in, night out.
And he actually looked good at Lincoln on Saturday. I know you guys already covered it, but that's the first time I've really seen him with some speed in that 17 car, like with my own eyes. So
they've had a good start to this year in the 17. They've actually had at BAPS, had good speed at Lincoln. They've had a
so
good
maybe
maybe
there's something to that race more, get comfortable type deal going on.
Sure.
Randy says, I think Brock Hamaker will be a future force in the area in a couple of years for sure. He's just getting out of. Is he still in the wing?
Getting
He
into the
scored-
days that ran eight career
Yeah,
races or
he was
something.
he's only ran a handful of races,
Yeah.
so see what happens there. But he definitely comes from a good pedigree there. Grew up around racing. We talked
And
to him
he's a good kid. He's a good
Yeah, he's a
kid.
good
He
kid.
understands a lot of things. We talked to him. He understands the business, understands racing, which is a big step.
Getting into some of these other support classes, here's super late models at Port Royal. Put on a pretty good race. Rick Eckert goes back to back there to start the season over Colton Flinner and Drake Troutman, which the World of Outlaw late models were off, so he made a spot start at Port. And Kyle Hardy, who finished fourth in the super late model feature, wins the limited late model feature in the 99 over Lane Snook and Ryan Zook. He led that one from beginning to end as well. There's a couple yellows in that one. Greg Satterley, I got to say, in the super late model, man, he looked really good. The super late model division is really, really competitive. I mean, you have Satterley, you have Trevor Feathers, who's into 27 this year. Um, both Andrew and Dylan Yoder, Hayes Mattern, Dylan Stake. We know we saw him win there last year. It's a really, really competitive division and put on really good racing. They just put a little bit of water on the track after the 410s, and it put on a pretty good show. And some of those guys like Satterley's one of them. He just pitched the fence, man. It's really cool to see those late models there up against the fence. And then on Saturday, Steve Wilbur gets the wingless sportsman win after starting on the pole over Billy Bryan Jr., Tony Jackson, Trent Yoder, and Cliff Bryan. Our buddy Brett Perigo ran up in the top five, but for most of the race, he finishes seventh. What do you guys see from that one?
We don't call that a win. We call that a fucking ass kicking. Wilbur was gone. Jeremy and I talked about that after the race in the parking lot. At one point, that first green run, I think 12 laps or so, 4.1 second lead. He was just absolutely on another planet as far as speed goes. Trent Yoder, Tony Jackson, seventh and eighth. They tried all they could, and it was just tough getting through that traffic there. You know, obviously Billy Bryan's really good at that wingless stuff, and Lincoln's. I think he's won there. I believe he's the one that's. I can't remember the Bryans properly, but either way, it was tough passing, and Wilbur's just gone. And I know from Steve, he told me in an interview before, he gets to race every year as long as he wins once. So I guess he's racing next year, boys.
Yeah, this was he took them all to school in a competitive division, and Steve Wilbur took all those kids to school, and he was an ass whooping for sure. Definition of it. Every restart didn't matter.
Like, yeah,
It just didn't matter. He was better than the field.
and you know it's not just like a I don't even know what to explain that as. It's skill and performance. He was going into turn one while second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth were all in a pack coming off turn four. Like it wasn't like he jumped to start. No, it was just he was gone. There was a group there fighting for second, third, and on back, and then that was it. It was just absolutely gone every time they restarted the race.
I heard he like bought stock in Simple Green over the winter or something, and I don't know. He hit it big, had some really nice parts on the car now. I don't know. I heard the stock went up. I don't know. Something about Simple Green. I don't know.
Somebody needs to get some kryptonite out because Superman is on fire right now.
No doubt. No doubt. Good start to the year for him for sure.
Yeah, Brett Perigo finishes seventh though. It's all Brett's fault. It's not Craig.
Shout out, Brett.
Craig and I talked about it after the race. Clearly, if it had a 1A on it, he probably would have won, but it doesn't. So here we are.
Scott Smeltzer says he won Georgetown Friday night. Eckert did. Yeah, Eckert three in a row. Tyler Koenig says Stuart Friesen wins the Super Dirt Car opener at New Egypt on Saturday. Cool.
Stuart Friesen winning a New Egypt. Tyler, what are we doing? We know he wins a truck race, bro. He's in a modified. Of course he's going to win. It's literally what he does.
But it sounded like there was a really, really good crowd at New Egypt, so probably like one of their biggest since, I think Tyler said it was their biggest since
2016
when they had the outlaw race.
2016
Which they have an outlaw race this year, so that should be interesting to see. And the match race says, "Nice seeing Stillwater back in victory lane at Lincoln." Let's get to some
You gotta love it.
other results here from the weekend. High Limit. Friday night, Aaron Reitzel, Central Arizona Raceway, gets the win over Tyler Courtney, Justin Peck, Brad Sweet, and Tanner Holmes. Man, was it Braden McMahon or Zeb
Yeah.
Wise? Zeb Wise said it.
Both.
Where
Both.
is it just me? Is it just me,
Definitely
or is Aaron Reitzel becoming more likable? I don't know if it's the rock in the face or the mullet or what, but
not the
yeah,
mold, I can tell you that.
this is somebody though that I don't want to say we expected it, but he's already meeting expectations of we thought he was going to be a guy to fight for this high limit championship. We're going to get into the points here in a little bit, but I mean, another win
So
for him.
he more or
But
less replaces Corey Eliason from last year, right?
mm-hmm.
Is that? And he's already outperformed him.
Oh yeah, I mean it's not the same car.
Right.
I mean he had this
Same
car last year
team.
when he ran more Knoxville, and
Sure, but we know how good. As much as we want to hate Aaron Reitzel and throw Blake at him, whatever. We know how good he is. We saw what he did in that '87 with the All Stars. We know how good he was with the Roth team before their penalty. We know, say what you want, but we knew how good he was, and he's already outperformed everything that Corey Eliason did in that with that team last year. Different car or not, same team, ish.
yeah, I agree. I mean, and he hasn't been out on a full time tour since the All Stars, but we saw what he did there, and that was, it's not as
I mean,
the All Stars then weren't as extensive as they are now,
but we're talking about a
as
dude that
high
got
limit is now,
banished.
but.
We're talking about a dude that got banished a week after winning an outlaw race at Weed Sport.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, definitely the talent and the speed is there. And then on Saturday night, back to back, and this I gotta say, well, let me get to the results here first. Brad Sweet wins on Saturday night over Casey Kane and Tyler Courtney. Aaron Reitzel fourth and Rico Abreu fifth. Tanner Thorson was your hard charger both nights, moving up 9 positions on Saturday and 8 positions on Friday. Yeah, Brad Sweet doing Brad Sweet things. Casey Kane looking really, really strong. This is his best ever. This is his best career National Touring Series sprint car finish. He's never won one, and he finished
never
second
won.
here. This is his best one. So, shout out
What do
to
you think
Casey
means?
Kane.
What would mean more than a Casey Kane? High limit win or World of Outlaws win? Fire off, both of you.
Touring series win. It doesn't matter.
I meant
Any
in general,
win.
the Casey Kane.
Come to
Casey
PA
Kane.
and try to get a local win, or go to Ohio and try to get a local win.
That.
And that's still
He's
impressive.
done that. He's done that in his career. And sure, doing it again is always good. But they made too much publicity about him not winning an outlaw race. What at this point in his life means more, a high limit win or a World of Outlaws win?
I don't think either one. I think high limit would probably be more, to be honest.
I don't think there's a right answer or a wrong answer. I'm just asking your opinion.
I think high, because obviously he runs that full time. So I think either one would be really big. But it's good to see him run this strong, especially when, the whole thing with crew chief and everything was kind of up in the air, and he made the last minute decision to go full time on this tour. But he's looked really, really strong, and let's hope he could keep it up.
Yeah, he finished third. What he finished
his Brickyard 400 win.
Yeah, I mean, hard to argue a Brickyard 400 win, but you figured Kane finished third last weekend on Friday, second. He's I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe figuring something out because we were used to seeing him kind of like, oh, poor Casey, what are you doing, man? You're making a fool of yourself, quote unquote. Like he's so badass, but like still, you know how fans are, us included.
Yeah. Didn't he win the Tusky 50S, Randy? Meaning, I'm assuming you're meaning Aaron Reitzel. Yes, he did. And
he did.
2019. That is still something that he says is his biggest win of his career. So that's.
And it definitely was.
After that.
It definitely was. That was the best looking car I've ever seen, and I wish I would have bought a shirt because that black gold or the black red with the gold 87 was one of the sickest cars I've seen in a long time.
Any other thoughts from High Limit? I got to say, Flo did a good piece on what they did to make this track since Manzanita uh, went away. They were trying to kind of fill that void that's in Arizona for a dirt track, and they put some money into this place. And the guy, I can't remember his name. I apologize, but the owner of it, um, he runs Avanti, I think. Um, he's like, I don't even care if I get a return. He's just that's the type of he's passionate race fan. But they made so many upgrades to that place, and it raced well. I thought it did. You know what I mean? I didn't stay up. I fell asleep before both features, both nights. But I watched the heat races. I watched the highlights, and it looked like a very very racy track.
You know what they
Yeah,
should do?
the interview was
Put
cool
dirt
with
on
him.
Phoenix.
Go ahead, JC.
The interview was cool with him on talking about the seating, and they sold out and they sold out and they sold out, and they brought more seating and more seating. And he said, we're going to lose money on this race, but we wanted to have the spotlight and show what we can do and build this into something. So just you love to see it. You love to see it. So hopefully that successful pays off, and they return next year or another time, or they can put more events on out there. And it's not a bad time to be in Arizona in the spring. You still have issues, but it's better than a lot of places in the country. So
Absolutely.
if it's another viable racetrack out that way, southwest, where I'm here for it.
And I want to touch on that real quick. Like a guy, a promoter, right, willing to lose money just to help better the sport. And I think the whole industry needs to kind of look at that way. We talk a lot in PA about, car count, and who's competing against who. If everyone take a step back and detach and take that approach, it would be so much healthier.
Well, I think a lot of people
100%.
would be willing to lose money if they
Like,
had enough money to lose to make
Yeah,
something work.
that's gonna be the other thing is
oh yeah,
He's in a
of
privileged
course,
position
I'm
to be
spending
able
other
to do
people's
that.
money here, but I'm saying is like but I'm looking at it like if Williams Grove, like now we're gonna go back to like Williams Grove, Lincoln, Port, if they'd all work together, give a little, they'd all make more money. I
A
think
whole different.
in
That's
the
a
long run.
totally different
different.
I don't
scenario.
know,
Yeah.
It's a
but
whole
it's the
different
same
scenario.
principle. Same principle
No,
though.
it's not.
The same principle.
They're
He's going
established
in
racetracks.
with the idea of you might
Okay,
BAPS and
we're
Steelers,
talking about
whatever
establishing a
whatever
racetrack.
tracks you want to use.
Do you hear yourself
He's trying to go
sometimes?
into a dead. He's trying to go to a dead market, saying, "I don't care if I lose money. Let's bring the spotlight here and make it good." We're in a hotbed and we're fighting over whatever. Like we could do the same thing in the established market. It should make more money.
You put that together. You thought
Like
those two were similar.
they are. They are. Like the egos are what's going to ruin sprint car
I thought it was
racing.
about money.
Yeah,
Hey.
it comes down to money at the end of the day, and Jay Z's right. I think
Yeah,
where
sure.
it's you got to be okay
If
with
a
losing.
dude
You
can
got to
build a
have the money
track
to
in
be able
Arizona,
to be okay with losing it, compared to people that are trying to run this as their full time jobs
I
to
guess
make
I
to
come
make a
from a
living.
position of if you own a racetrack, you probably come from a position where you can lose some money.
I don't know about that.
Like you have
I
to,
don't know
right?
about that.
You
Steelers
have
Grove
to.
Speedway, if they can.
Yeah,
Last few years, somebody owned it.
They're sure as fuck not. They're sure as fuck not making money.
Well, didn't really
We'll
work.
see.
Anyway,
Matt Trey says part of Casey's problems, I think, was he couldn't stay consistent due to always getting into an accident at bad time and keeping in the car. Yet he said a lot of time out of the car over the past, especially since he's retired NASCAR. But we know that concussions were a problem with him, and I think that's always been kind of the thing for me that's always held me back from ever kind of taking him as a serious contender or anything, is just because it's only going to take one wreck potentially, and that's unfortunate. I'm not trying to slam him for that. I'm not trying to talk down on him. It's just you don't know when that one wreck's going to happen, and he's going to be out, for 3 months or something. You know what I mean? And I hope it doesn't. I hope he just stays competitive like this. I think high limit and the sport is better when someone like Casey Kane is able to be successful, and bring more eyes on the sport and everything. And he's going to do Rockingham on Easter weekend too, which is pretty cool. So it's good to see him kind of getting back into it a little bit more. So hopefully that means a lot of his health issues that he's had are maybe straightened out. So
Right. And it's almost like we don't obviously he was on the junior download. And we don't know. He doesn't even really know why he was acting that way at the end of his Cup career, why his body was doing that. And it has to be a mental tax on you, right? Like when you're like, I can't even run 50 laps in practice in a Cup car, and I'm like dying. Mentally, as a race car driver, that has to be tough. So hopefully he has that, controlled. And what we're seeing some confidence come back. We know he's a good driver. We've seen it for now 20 years how good of a driver Casey Kane is and whatever he got in. So
Yep. Matthew Bird says, loving the dirt episode so far with High Limit. I agree. If you caught the last one, if you caught our Facebook post, you'll see a lot of familiar
idiots.
faces, including this specific hat in there. They got a little bit of the Turn 2 Terribles in there. It was pretty cool to see, kind of out of nowhere. But they do a fantastic job with that series. I'm not saying that for any reason, but um, they do a really good job. It was good last year. It's really good this year. I hope they continue to keep doing that. And I think it's those are cool little things to help promote the sport and really make it feel, I don't want to say professional, but you know what I mean.
No, it's a documentary. It draws a
Yeah.
connection. So you're
Yeah.
sitting somewhere in Ohio, realizing that everyone in PA is having more fun. Maybe you'll come to PA and stop being in dumb Ohio. Fact.
Aunt Bay says Kyle Keene is my dad, and then he also says hi, Chris.
Oh, hi, Aunt. Well, Kyle Keene's also my dad, so Aunt and I brothers. He can't touch my drum set though.
And then Brad Weatherby says, Crystalline, I get you. Support what we do. Word of Outlaws. Buddy Kofoid gets the win Friday. Lawton, Oklahoma, over Carson Macedo. Emerson Axum getting a podium finish here in third. David Gravel fourth. And Sheldon Honshield in fifth. Ryan Timms was your hard charger, plus 10, 22nd to 12th. I don't really. Buddy led from beginning to end. Led all 35 laps. Any thoughts on that?
Nope.
I didn't really have any thoughts at all. Nothing really crazy.
I didn't. Outside of Lincoln, I didn't watch shit. So.
Brittany Perigo, happy birthday, Chris. That's right. Chris's birthday is in a few hours.
Happy birthday, buddy. Happy birthday,
birthday,
my guy.
Don't worry. Brett already ruined it by going from third to seventh. Idiot.
Let's take a quick look at the point standings here for the track and the National Series. Let's start with Lincoln. Troy Wagaman, defending champion, is up by 60 points at Lincoln early in the season here. Chase Dietz is still second, even without running last week. Matt Campbell third, tied, three-way tie for third between Matt Campbell, Freddie Raymer, and Aaron Bollinger. You got Danny Dietrich, Chad Trout, Cam Smith, Tyler Russ, and Brandon Raymer running out your top 10. Obviously, this is going to change a lot. These are very early, but very, very early look in. Troy's been very consistent. Just need to put hit. He'll have to just continue to do that.
I'll say that I want to comment real quick. Troy got to keep doing what Troy does. His car looks good. I was impressed with Freddie. He didn't win, but I've seen that 51 look as competitive as I have in a long time. Driving up to third, like he just looked like they may have found something that matched what he wants to do. I want to say the last few years in the 8 car he would do a certain thing, in the 51 it would not quite look that way. I think they found something there, and he's going to be a problem down there at Lincoln for the next 6 months.
Danny's 6 in points. He's washed.
Let's go to Port Royal.
Yeah, that dude's fucking washed.
And, going from second in points at Lincoln to first in points at Port Royal, Chase Dietz. Just goes to show how dominant, how crazy consistent he's been right up front.
This guy, you literally can't finish out of the top 3 in anything.
Yeah.
Are we sure he's not in the outlaw top 3 points?
Justin Whittle, second, 20 points back. Anthony Macri, third, 40 points back. And then you got Steve Buckwalter, Brock Searfoss, Jeff Halligan, Logan Wagner, Gerard McIntyre, Lucas Wolf, and Blaine Heimbach as your top 10. Very early, only 2 races into the season. This will change a little bit, obviously. But Chase Dietz, Justin Whittle, those are kind of 2 of the guys that I really expected to kind of fight for this, along with Brock Searfoss, Logan Wagner, like I said before.
I would say Justin Whittle might be the favorite now because we know Chase is going to kind of do what they want to do. And if Justin Whittle can stay consistent like he's been at Port historically, I don't want to say this year because we saw what he did at Lincoln the other week, but like in general at Port and Williams Grove, he's been consistently in that top 10 or close to it.
Yep.
They do a little step up because the Wagners are still going to figure their shit out and they're going to be there. This could be Justin Whittle's to lose once we get here to May, June, July.
Yeah, we'll see. This is going to shake up a lot. I mean, this is only 2 races in, but Chase being at the top of here at Port and still second at Lincoln with missing a race just goes to show how dominant he's been early in the season. World of Outlaws, David. No real changes here. David Gravel's still up. The gap did close a little bit by about 5 or 6 points between him, Carson Baceto, Logan Schuhart, Buddy Kofoid with the win, obviously. Hot and shield shots, Selzy and Baylog, and then tied for 9th. Garrett Williamson makes an appearance up in the top 10 tied with Chris Wyndham back there. I think can't remember. Somebody else fell out of the top 10. I can't remember who it was.
Are there any surprises on this list? I don't think
No,
so.
not really. And then High Limit, obviously, there's a lot of changes here because they're still very early in the season. But Brad Sweets, not a change. Tyler Courtney, not a change. Those are the 2 guys that have just been at the top here. Aaron Reitzel, though, with the 2 wins now, gets himself up in the 3rd place. Brett Marks goes down to 4th. Rico Aber goes down to 5th. Justin Peck, he wasn't even in the top 10 last week. Gets up to 6th. Tanner Holmes goes up a little bit. Casey Kane, Caleb Montgomery, and Austin Carl fall down to 9th and 10th. Somebody had said early before, but about Tanner Holmes maybe running full time. But I don't think that car's not a full time touring team. But it would be cool because he's shown that he can really compete with these guys.
I think we got to lower expectations. And I want to preface that because you talk about Brent Marks. We're on the West Coast. Tanner Holmes lives out there. The team's based out there. They had a strong West Coast swing. Brent Marks might be the happiest guy ever to get out of the West Coast. I think he made the best of what could possibly happen to him out there. This is my opinion. So let's just ease the brakes on the Tanner Holmes full-time stuff.
So that'll take care of the points. Let's take a preview here of what's to come, and let me just move us here.
You can take us off the screen if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can
This
you guys
weekend
still-
looks like a lot
Everybody
of
still
rain.
hear us? All right, good. So yes, Central PA, Williams Grove on Friday, 410s, and it's a Dirty Deeds 25 for the 358s. $25 to get in, 7 p.m. or catch it on Dirt Vision. Lincoln is scheduled Saturday, 6 p.m. $20 for 410s and 358s. Another a 3-division show here for Port Royal, 410, 305s, and limited late models. From what I heard for the 305s, there's already over 45 pre-registered 305s. So they could easily see 50 to 55 305s, to be honest. 6 p.m., $25 to get in, or catch it on Flow Racing. And then you also got BAPS, Super Sportsman, limited late models, 602 crate mods, and extreme stocks starting at 4 p.m., $15 to get in. Then we will go to High Limit, which tomorrow for Vado, for High Limit was already canceled due to winds. So they already axed that. Friday, they go to Route 66 in Amarillo, Texas. And then Saturday, they go to Dodge City Raceway Park in Dodge City, Kansas. So they were really making a trip here, New Mexico, Texas, Kansas. But they already canceled tomorrow night. Unfortunately, we don't get any midweek racing. But good call there. I'm glad that they made it early for these guys that have to travel. And then the Outlaws, 2-night show at Arrowhead Speedway in Colcord, Oklahoma for the Jason Johnson Classic. This has been a staple. It's kind of rotated. It's rotated tracks every year, but very important race, early season race for the Outlaws as they remember Jason Johnson. So yeah, guys, what are you guys looking forward to?
Anything. Hopefully, anything at this point. We'll see.
I guess I might as well put the weather up because Friday looks like, at least locally, probably the only viable race day. This is very early forecast, but 65 degrees, partly cloudy, partly sunny on Friday. Not really much chance of rain, knock on wood. Saturday and Sunday, though, don't look good at all. 90% chance of rain on Saturday. And then even if you wanted to move something to Sunday, which I don't think at this point in the season anybody's going to do. But even then, it looks bad. 60% chance of rain. On Sunday, though, is it Sunday? EMMR. Oh, thank you, Tyler. Sammy Swindell will be at the Eastern Museum of Motor Racing doing a roundtable, which is pretty cool in Dillsburg. So that's something to do if you don't get to a track this weekend. That's pretty cool with Sammy Swindell here. I'm hoping that this forecast changes so we could get Saturday in. I'm looking forward to seeing. Probably would be going to Port and seeing 7,305s. One other thing I forgot to note here. Selinsgrove Speedway is having their open practice on Wednesday night. Pretty sure it's free to go check out, 6 to 9. Weather does look pretty good, so any divisions that are running there is open practice at Selinsgrove on Wednesday. And if you're a fan in the air and you want to go see some race cars, go turn in circles for a little bit, go check it out. Yeah, so I think Williamsgrove gets in on Friday though, and that'll be good. They'll have their weekend. They'll have their time in the sun. It looks like it's going to stay pretty mild. It won't get too chilly at night, and should have a probably I would imagine a pretty good car count since it doesn't look like any other racing for the weekend as of now. Knock on wood. Any other thoughts?
There was a fan comment about Troy not being at BAPS yesterday. It wasn't because of rain. It wasn't because of weather. They're not committing to the whole BAPS schedule this season to go and do some other things. So you may see them go pick and choose at do some other events that they haven't done in the past routinely. So they won't attend every BAPS race, and this was one that they chose not to attend.
Easy enough. I mean, he's definitely he has turned into a threat any track. He's proven that at Speed Week and anywhere with that 27 car, he's been phenomenal. So I think it's only right that he gets to go choose and run. They could choose and run some different things. I think it's exciting. To see some of these guys get out and get to some different tracks and do some different things. Chris, any thoughts for this upcoming weekend?
Oh, I hope Port gets in. Other than that, no. I mean, I'll be at Williams Grove. Maybe we'll see.
I mean, yeah. I mean, same if they have it.
Yeah.
Actually, that Port race on Saturday, a good friend of ours, friend of the show, iRacing buddy of ours, Tyler Shell, should be his career 305 debut. So all things are on track. He tested this past weekend again. So we'll see maybe his career racing debut Saturday. So we'll see.
Yeah. We'll see Friday how I feel. I might go to Williams Grove, might not. Never know.
Randy Oberlander says there's 92% on Friday.
Yeah, my mind
It goes
says
back and forth.
It's going back and forth on when it's going to actually hit.
Yeah, Friday morning it said there's 63% and then 3% chance at night. So
Yeah,
it'll be a Friday morning thing, and it might end up if it's too much Thursday into Friday or some shit that you don't even get to see 3 o'clock cancellation Friday. It could be noon, right? Like
yeah.
The old 11 o'clock one, yeah.
We'll see. Hopefully this forecast changes, but hey, listen, April showers. That's what they say, right?
Yeah.
Let's get into
Mayflower still brings May showers.
Drink it or dump it. We already got one in the chat. Matthew Bird, drink it to Matt Campbell and DD for their victories this weekend. Dump it to Williamsgrove for trying to get their show in, and Mother Nature said, not today. Drink it, dump it, Chris. It's been a while for you.
Oh. So we'll drink it. Oh, this is rough. I had so many thoughts. I'm going to drink at the Williams Grove trying. They held out as long as they could, looking at the forecast, knowing they were going to get flamed. Because it does not matter what they do. They're going to get flamed either way. They cancel at 10 o'clock, sun's down at 5, flamed. They waited old school style for that light amount of rain, and it didn't stop. It never stopped raining. They're right. So I'm gonna drink it. We just go for trying old school style. Number in the door. I'm gonna drink to that. I was never going regardless. But like these fans are absolutely unbearable, and I'm glad that they are showing them both sides of they're retarded. So they can't win. Um, dump it. Ooh. No, I'm gonna. No. All right, I'll dump it to these. So leaving Lincoln. So Jeremy leaves Lincoln, and I had to piss. So I went to the porta potty, and I'm sitting, and I'm watching these two hot rods that were probably like stock Mustangs, clearly gay, and then two motorcycles just racing each other up and down the road behind Lincoln for like an hour. And I'm like, oh, what are y'all doing? So dump it to those idiots. I'm sure they're kids. Grow up. They, they, they were trying to kill each other. They almost. I thought I was getting ready to save a motorcycle rider because his buddy in a hot rod almost ran him over. I'm like, what are we doing here? Can we stop? So that's my dump it. Dump it to the Lincoln fans that are stupid. You have the fighting in the one side, and you have the street racers up and down the road on motorcycles and hot rods. You aren't talented enough to do it. Stop it.
Jimmy?
Good enough for you?
Yeah, that's good. I'm going to drink it to all four racetracks in the area. I thought they all did a pretty good job when it came to the weather this week. Even Williams Grove, I thought, like I said, when I was looking early, like late morning, early afternoon, I'm like, oh, it's going to be out of here by 4 or 5 o'clock and we'll be good. But just kind of lingered on, and they made the right call at the right time, made the effort, as they should have. And then I think Port did a good job keeping up with the weather, making the track nice, the track surface great. Lincoln did a great job, not only with the track prep as usual, Brett Putney always on point, but also, um, I mean, you're finishing your night at 8:03, and they started at 6. So, and starting all 27 cars, I
Yeah,
really got to
and
applaud them. Great job, running an efficient show.
Jay Z and I talked about that. It was amazing what Lincoln did on Saturday night, so I do want to
Yeah,
toast that.
and then also BAPS, they stuck with it. I really did not think they went into an expedited mode, and they got everything in. So great job by all of them. Yeah, and then dump it to. I'm gonna dump it to Seth Snow. That was kind of a heartbreaker. He was running a really good race. He was probably faster than Cody Fletcher, especially at the end. Just couldn't make the pass, and um, ends up taking himself out of contention completely. But he'll get somewhere. Go JC.
Um, I'm going to cheat a little bit, and I'm taking a couple that I think need attention. Drink it to a strong start by our PA Posse guys, and this is kind of what I was going to go to earlier. Danny Dietrich start, Chase Deach start, Freddie start, Ryan Smith, the 69K. When my questions, and remember we made our bold predictions about, our local guys may not win a touring series race the entire year. I'm glad that I feel that they're going to prove me wrong as of today. The strong start that I've seen from Chase and Danny, even Freddie getting a win and being up front, and Troy, and even Matt Campbell, right? And time trial stuff we're going to start getting into a little bit here, not yet, but like passing cars, looking fast, in different, Kyle Moody. Kyle Moody hasn't really ran all year and is going to do time trial stuff. Comes out last night and he's up front. Time's
Yep.
good. Gets into redraw, runs up front. It's working for him. Good young talent coming up through. I'm encouraged by the start that I'm seeing with our guys. Right, I think this is speed that's good enough to compete with anyone right now. That's the first one. The second one is to Lincoln and BAPS specifically on the way they ran the events, the way they kept things moving. Lincoln didn't have to. They weren't pushed by weather. They
Right.
still did. And shout out to both of these tracks for just let's go. Let's go. We're not you're not making more money, less money. You're only just keeping us here longer. And so great job. Great freaking job. Dump it.
Yeah.
My first dump it is Samuel Miller. Um, season debut in his 410 and his 358, and both cars broke. Unfortunately, tough night for them and their team. So they're going to regroup, get back after it. That was tough for sure. That's my first dump, and my second one is the 1W, the Westbrook car, their season debut, and I think they blew up already. So I hope not. It all signs pointed toward it did. I don't know. I wasn't there, but man, Ryan Taylor is in that car. First race in the car. They come out to BAPS. It's not a a BAPS car every week, and that's a Williams Grove car. They came down to BAPS, and I hope it didn't blow up, but dump it to them if it did. Good grief! Like they keep showing up, and
I mean,
I don't know. Whatever. It's not my sandbox. It's not my money. I'm not vested in it, but man, I want to see it go. I like Ryan Taylor. I want to, he's better when he's on the racetrack and making laps. So dump it to that team, and hopefully they have a better go at it coming up.
yeah, it's tough for the 1W. Come on. It's tough.
Yeah. Hopefully they get it figured out. Good looking race car though this year.
Yeah, it does.
And I'm sure Ryan has a Ryan Taylor graphics. I'm sure Ryan had played a part in that. Car looks good. Car looks real.
That helps.
It does.
Turns out when you can design it,
Car
it
looks
helps.
good.
Brad Weatherby says, drink it to everyone supporting local racing, dump it to everyone trashing tracks for making good decisions. Agreed.
And that's kind of what the Williams Grove thing. It's unbearable. Like, what do you want Williams Grove to do? And to go with that, go with the Water Mount Laws the next night with the wins. Whatever your opinions are.
Yeah, you wanted to talk about
wins,
Chris. I remember you saying that.
Well, so I was reading through the comments Saturday night when I got home because I was at Lincoln and I didn't see anything about the Outlaw stuff until I got home. I guess they canceled after the heat races or whatever because of wind. You already had crashed a couple cars, whatever. And everyone in the chat was saying, well, High Limit would never, just that and the other thing. And then today, High Limit cancels for wind. It's like,
yeah, but a day before.
Stop it. I get it, but it's like at some point you got to draw a line. We've already been at tracks locally where they've tried to race. They've pushed through Twitter, and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna race because we're gonna prove them wrong." And the driver's like, "No, this is not safe. Track conditions are being rutted up or whatever it may be." We've seen it before, and wind might be a new thing. I don't know, but give some grace. Like Williams Grove last week got flamed because they canceled because of wind and incoming forecast. This week they wait old-fashioned style until everyone's at the track, and we got more rain than it was ever forecasted. I was thinking, I was like, this is not what the forecast said. It's dumping. This is stupid. What do you want them to do? What do you want them to do? And it's not just a Williams Grove, Port Royal, Lincoln, same thing. At some point, it's a business, right? Do you want them to open the gates, let you all in there to stand around and have it rain, and you bitch that they're canceling, or do you want them?
Yeah, that you have to go through the whole rain check procedure and everything. Then
And I get the Outlaw thing they're arguing because I guess they went through the heats, and everyone's opinion is they did that to get through the rain check thing. I don't know. I don't know anything about that. But what I do know is the drivers seem to agree with the Board of Outlaws' opinion. At the end of the day, you can't sit here and say we need a catch fence, we need all these things for driver safety, and then bitch when a track or series cancels because of driver safety. You know what I'm saying? It's tough. You can't win as a racetrack. You can't win. Whatever you do is wrong.
Just put a roof over everything.
They should really just put tarps on the track. And in fact, what they really should do, close the place, and we all just race on Cartoon Land because you never get canceled on Cartoon Land. Problem solved.
That's not true.
That's not true. There's
That's
power
not
outages.
true.
There's
You're right.
internet outages.
Well, that's not the track's fault. That's the driver's fault.
I'm on the track anyway. Isn't that what we're talking about?
I don't know. I'm blaming somebody, but it's not gonna be me.
No.
Yeah. Matt Trey says, drink it the 2 cars with Beer Hill decals for winning on Saturday and dump it to the weather being indecisive. Agreed. Mandy, drink it. A good Saturday, Sunday of racing, the weekend winners, Deeps finishing on the podium every race so far. Dump it to weather continuing to wash out Williams Grove. Brandon Zerk, Drink it to Logan Carbaugh for getting the legend win at Winchester Speedway. Dump it to Port Royal Infield Food Shack. They need to get better. And then down here, Brandon Gibson
That
says,
makes
yes,
sense.
that food is terrible. I don't know. Okay, bye, Chris. Randy says, drink it to the Turn 2 Terribles. Thank you, buddy. And dump it to the rain on the weekends. Tyler Koenig says, drink it to BAPS Surface on Sunday and having 2 great races. Dump it to New Egypt rubbering up halfway through a 75 lapper. Well, yeah. And then a 3-hour drive home. But shout out to my favorite track opening up this coming Saturday. I'm assuming he means Grandview. Mandy also says, we have a stout field of guys here in PA this year. Good to see a lot of our local guys having good finishes so far. Absolutely. Daniel Lee, drink it to a great weekend of racing at Lincoln and BAPS. Dump it to this weekend's weather forecast. Need the rain, just bad timing. That's true. I know we have like a burn ban here for like the next month because we are kind of like technically in a drought. So I guess I will take it now and then give us the good weather in the summer when things really start to heat up. You know what I mean? Can't have it all, guys. Yeah. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Chris was here, then he's not. I don't know. Glad he was able to at least join us for a little bit tonight. Closing thoughts?
Yeah, man. Looking forward to some more racing. See you all at the racetrack.
Yeah.
Come
See you
say
guys at
hi.
the racetrack.